Hello, everyone. Welcome to Vikings First and SKOL. I'm Sally. This is your Thursday night edition of Skoldiers Spice. We're getting things started a little bit early here because in just about an hour or so, there is a massive NFC North showdown, which could reshape things for the Vikings postseason picture. So we all got a date with our television screens for that. Speaking of dates, Kirk Cousins, he's returning to Minnesota this Sunday for probably the most anticipated revenge game of the NFL season. Question is, who's going to get the revenge? Is it going to be us or is it going to be Kirk? My money's on the Vikings. But anyway, tonight I am joined by Rap from Vocal Vike to talk about all of this stuff and more. So let's get into it. Rap, hi.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on because this is a pleasure. I've always wanted to tap in with you, so I'm glad we finally get to do it.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm so glad that you are available to come on. Like I said, I was like, oh, we got to get started a little bit early tonight because I know everybody wants to watch the game. I think it's the most exciting Thursday night game that I can remember in a long time. So, I'm so happy that you could make it work and come in.
Absolutely. I'm excited about the game. I guess we have to root for the Packers, right? I guess that's in our favor to root for the Packers tonight. So I don't know how that sounds, but it is what it is.
I think that is what logic is trying to say, and that's what I think a lot of people want us to believe. However, I think I just don't think I can do it. I mean, just from like a moral standpoint, it just feels so wrong. But what I'm scared of, I think I'm of the school of thought of I would rather things stay tight between the Vikings and the Lions and the Packers fall back a little bit further so that they really aren't even in the conversation for the division. I would rather create that space and that just be between Minnesota and Detroit. I don't know. That's how because I feel like they're all three going to be in the conversation regardless, right? So
Right.
I just don't want the Vikings going to Green Bay.
Yeah. When you put it that way, you actually have a great point there because if not, then we'll be battling with the Packers as far as, because I think, to be honest with you, I think the Lions may be able to win a couple more games this season because they're playing some good ball. So you got a good point. Maybe we just have the Packers just lose, and then we know we're 2 games ahead of them, right? So there's really no opportunity for them to jump us. So I like that idea too, I guess. I mean, it's F both of them, but whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's my school of thought. And obviously, there's still enough time left in the season that things could be totally reversed from what we're talking about right now. But I also feel like Detroit does have a more challenging schedule going forward because they also have to play Buffalo, I believe, next week. And then they also play the 49ers. So I feel like they might end up getting that L next week anyway. I don't know. And they're so defeated with injuries. It's just like, I just hate the fucking Packers. I can't do it. I can't.
Me too. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I was talking about it earlier with one of my partners, and I'm like, man, having to say "Go Packers" just doesn't sit right with me. I don't think I can do it. Yeah, I don't think I can do it.
No, never go that far. But all right, let's say what's up to the chat. We've got Davey here, SKOL Mafia in the house. Hey, King, what's up? He said he's sitting in his work truck. And there's snow and wind in New York, 11 degrees. Oh, gosh. Well, it was pretty cold here today, too. Oh, it says it's 17 now, but yesterday it was 8 degrees. So I hear you there. We've got Julian. He says, SKOL, screw both teams playing tonight. Bob's here. Chevy Chase. Hey, Julian. Adnan. Dave said he's rooting for the Meteor. Chris Thompson says Rap gonna get a bad rap rooting for the Packers.
Facts.
Uh, Puddentane, this young lady is awesome and easy on my old man eyes. I don't know if that's about me, but I'm gonna take it as a compliment. Uh,
Absolutely.
Chieftain says Falcons will probably win. We'll get into that in a second, sir. It's too early for that negativity in here. All right, Dr. Pronto wants no one to win tonight. All right, hey guys, thanks all you guys for being here. We really appreciate it. But yeah, so exciting game tonight, exciting game on Sunday. I don't know about you, but I had this one circled on the calendar with a red pen the second the schedule came out. I was the only thing I wanted it to happen earlier in the season. I wanted at least the first half. I was bummed that it was all the way in December. But my hot take to start the season was that I thought Kirk Cousins would be benched by now.
Yeah.
Now that was a bit of an exaggeration. However, it turns out I was maybe only one game off with that because
Right.
it may be coming soon. How are you feeling about his return?
Yeah, I actually think your take would have landed if he wasn't playing us on Sunday. So, like, if they were playing somebody else, it probably would have happened. I think just the fact of him coming back to US Bank Stadium and the coaches probably feel like, well, you might have some familiarity there. We gotta at least play you. You know what I mean? And you're paying them all this money. I mean, I feel bad for the Falcons jumping off the ledge and doing that. Like they're learning the hard way. But
Yeah.
I know this game was definitely circled on my calendar as well. My only gripe is that I wish the Vikings would have pulled out the all white jersey, the Winter Warrior jerseys for this game in particular. Maybe this would be been a night game or something. You know, it would have been a little better. But that was my hope. Other than that, I'm definitely looking forward to this game though. This is big. It's big.
Yeah, I'm with you. I thought, especially when I thought that just before the season even started, this is a game that the NFL would circle to put in prime time anyway, because it seems like they love to put Kirk Cousins in primetime games. And then, of course, being against Minnesota, and I was surprised that they didn't do it. But then when they were talking about flexing and they did end up flexing the Colts game, I was thinking, well, this would be the one that they would flex, right? But I can't remember now who is the Sunday night game, but it's somebody that they would have never flexed out. Maybe it's the Chiefs. They were never going to flex them out. So I'm with you. I don't like it that the Winter Warrior game is a Monday either. Kind of lame, but all right, we can get into all the optics of that in a second. Let's back up
Yeah.
because I told you before we get started here that we actually really don't know each other at all. And that
Right.
is kind of weird because I feel like we've ran in the same circles here for a long time now.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've definitely heard of you. I knew of you before you've known of me, obviously, because you've already had a name, right, in the community, and you still do, and it's huge. So when I jumped into Vikings content creation, I knew who was one of those ones and who wasn't, and you definitely popped out on the radar for sure. I'm like, okay, she definitely has the following, and on top of that, you can just see that you go hard for the Vikings. So it's all over you. So, I'm glad we were able to meet in person during Skull Fest. So that
Yeah.
was exciting. I can't remember if I think actually, you know what? I think we crossed paths the first Skull Fest, which was, 2 years ago, I believe.
I
Because
was
were
trying
you
to
there?
remember that too. Yeah, I was there. I maybe
Okay.
was even no, I was there for sure the 2 years ago too, but I was trying to remember. I think so, but I don't think we really got an opportunity to talk,
Right.
at the first
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
one. Mhm.
yeah. So, it was perfect timing though, this last time being able to kind of, at least communicate with you a little bit and start to build our relationship. I'm
Yeah.
excited for it. And hopefully we can do some more shows after this one too. We just getting started, baby. That's what I tell them.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm definitely new to the whole YouTube scene. This Tyler and Dave brought me into this world. I've never been on the YouTube, so it's been a little intimidating. And I know you and your squad have been big on YouTube for a while now. So it's been great, just getting to know this whole other like segment of the Vikings fan community that I knew of, but I never really got the opportunity to interact with or really engage with you guys' content before because I'm kind of a boomer. I don't really spend much time on YouTube, to be honest.
Yeah.
I've just always been, audio only, and so it's been really cool to be introduced to this other world. But how rap did you become a Vikings fan, and how long have you been a Vikings fan?
So I've been a Vikings fan since 1998.
Okay.
And it was Randy Moss is why. I mean, I know there's a lot of a lot of Vikings fans in my age bracket that's how they became a Vikings fan was Randy Moss. I mean, man, and prayers to him right now with everything I heard going on, and I hope
Mhm.
he's okay. But like that, so I Randy Moss was my idol. So when I was younger, I wanted to be like Randy Moss. Played football, wanted to make the catches and all that. So I was particularly just a Randy Moss fan, not even the Minnesota Vikings. I just liked him. I didn't really buy into the whole team thing. And then the following year, I was just like, you know what? I might as well just be a whole Vikings fan. So I'm just gonna ride for the team. And then that's how I got hooked. And then even when he left, it was just like, hey, I can't follow you, man. I gotta stay with the purple and gold. And that's just what happened, you know. So I've been riding with him ever since, and it's been great. I mean, obviously, being a Vikings fan, there's been some tough years, but at the end of the day, they always make it interesting. At least, you know, always make it
Mhm.
interesting. So that's how I became a fan. I've been a fan for a while now.
Yeah, that's what I say too. It's like people apologize to me. Like some random guy DM me a couple days ago. And he's like, "Oh, so sorry. You know, my dad's a Vikings fan. I feel so bad for you." And I said, "Please don't feel bad for me. It's built so much character, so much of this sense of humor, resiliency. Um, I'm proud of the character that it's actually given me. I would honestly, of course, I'd like to have a couple Super Bowls, but I think like I know this is going to sound ridiculous." But would I rather grow up a fan of this team or like the Patriots or something where there's never any adversity at all? It's just win, 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 win all the time or be competitive. I feel like that would have kind of made me a little bit of a bratty person and fan.
For sure. Yeah, like imagine Chiefs fans right now that have been Chiefs fans for the past, you know, the newer Chiefs fans that have been Chiefs fans for the past even 10 years. I mean, because even with Alex Smith, they were winning a lot. They had a couple good seasons with him. So I mean, yeah, it kind of makes you gotta go through something as a fan, you know, you gotta have those hard times. So I appreciate the hard times, and it makes seasons like we're having now, it makes you just really appreciate them, you know, seeing the team and going out there and fighting every game on Sunday and coming out with the victories, you know, being able to brag about it. We're able to brag now this year for sure. Even though the
Yeah,
national media sleeps on us though, you know, they sleep on us.
I prefer it that way, honestly, because
Yeah.
I feel like even when they're not sleeping on us in years past and stuff, they just always get stuff wrong, and then there's all this pressure from the outside of them. I just would rather just fly under the radar as long as possible from them, because think of all the years when they have put all these expectations on. It never works out. It never works
Right.
out. Uh,
Exactly. Exactly.
how long ago did you get into the content creation game, and what made you wanna do that?
So I got in 2022 was when I started my channel. I believe it's 2022 or 2021. It might have been, I think it's 2022. So I was just, I mean, it was funny. I used to just kind of talk with my friends down here. So if you don't, I'm from Charleston,
Yeah.
South Carolina. So I'm way
Oh,
out of the way. Like I'm nowhere near where you guys are at. Like I'm 3 hour flight away. Right. So
you
I'm
and you
talking to
live
my
in
friends. Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
my
I'm
god,
in
cool,
Charleston.
okay.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm talking to my friends and everything and my wife with the game. And I'm like, she doesn't care. My friends don't really care because they're not Vikings fans. So I'm like, man, I gotta vent to somebody. So and shout out to, you know, Purple Daily because I was like, I would always watch the show. I was a big follower of Purple Daily and them and just watching it and hearing them talk about the Vikings and not to take away from what they said, but there was a lot of things where I was like, you know what, I need to say something about that, but I feel like my comments aren't being seen enough. Like they're not paying me attention. So I just one night randomly, literally like a random Tuesday, I just bought a microphone and hit record. And that's how easy it is, honestly, for anybody who's, you know, wants to get inspired to do this. If you really have that itch to do it and you're really passionate about it, I mean, that's really how simple it is to just, you know, don't be scared. Just do it. Go for it. Hit record. Get a microphone and talk about your team. You'll be surprised how many people gravitate towards you. So that's how my journey started, for sure.
Oh my god, that is so cool. I had no idea that you lived there.
Yeah. Have you been to
That's
Charleston?
I haven't well, it's always been on my list. I actually had a
You
trip
gotta
there,
come.
planned last year, but my boyfriend at the time actually broke up with me, so,
Okay.
still got stuck paying for half of it, but did not
Well,
get to go.
forget him. Forget
I
him.
know,
His loss.
that's
His
for real.
loss.
Yeah, exactly, no, I've always wanted to go there, obviously, and I also I love Southern Charm, so that makes
Yeah.
me wanna go there even more, but I'm from, Richmond, Virginia, and that's
Okay.
where I lived until about 10 years ago, So similar to you, I used to just consume Viking stuff all the time. I didn't have any friends or anybody in real life to talk to about it with because I became a Vikings fan same 98, but my dad is from Minnesota, so I at least had him to talk about it with. But as far as like
Okay.
friends and stuff went, I didn't have that outlet. So I just started listening to K-Fan, and at the time, it was ESPN 1500, which Phil and Judd were on
Okay.
back then before it was Scorn. And so that's just kind of how it started for me too. And then I just got all big on Vikings Twitter and I met so many cool people and I felt like, oh my gosh, like these are the people that I belong with. So I ended up moving here 10 years ago. But actually, so that's really similar to you.
There you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
man, that's a great story. So being in Richmond, I've been to Richmond multiple times because I'm actually born in New Jersey, so I still have family in New Jersey. So I've
Okay.
driven to New Jersey from Charleston
Yeah.
multiple times, but I have some people in Richmond too because you got to go right through there.
Yep.
And man, I
Okay.
love Richmond, man. Richmond's a great city for sure. Richmond's a great city. That's
Yeah.
crazy how your journey went from taking that leap from Richmond to Minnesota. Now, was your father in Richmond when
Yeah,
you
so all
moved?
my family still live there. Yeah, but he still lives there too. But like they were from here, so my grandparents do live here. But all of
Okay.
my
Okay.
like immediate family lives in Virginia still. So
Okay.
pretty crazy. But yeah, Richmond's great. People sleep on it, but there's a lot to do in that
Absolutely.
drive from Charleston to Jersey in the in between.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Especially if people love history and stuff, you gotta go through there. But
Well,
that's
the thing is, when you drive from Charleston, the moment you get to Richmond, that's when the drive starts getting actually fun because that's when once you hit Richmond, you start going, there's no more like, country area, like everything's just city all the way up then from Richmond on. So it's, that's always I always notice when I would take that trip, it would be all right, once we make it to Richmond, no more of the boring drive. At least we get to see some kind of scenery or something around here. So
Yeah, yeah, that is true. I was actually reflecting kind of on that drive the other day because of that snow game that was it was Cleveland and who? What else was it?
Uh,
My
oh,
gosh.
dang. I can't remember
I don't know.
now, but
It was
yeah.
yeah, it was Jameis, but it was like whiteout conditions. I don't know why it's
Right.
escaped me. And that reminded me so much of when the Vikings played Baltimore in that
Mhm.
crazy whiteout game where there was like 4 lead changes in the 4th quarter and Cordero Patterson and that was I was at that game in like the 2nd row and it was complete like almost whiteout. You couldn't see anything. But I was thinking about it because of the drive home from in those conditions on 95 and it was absolutely atrocious, but that's obviously another conversation, but, I was just
Yeah.
thinking about 95. I did not miss 95. You know what I do miss, though, is Wawa.
Wawa.
Mhm.
Okay. So
Yeah.
because there's no Wawas in Minnesota.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Hell no.
So
I don't think they're past, like, Western Pennsylvania. I don't think.
yeah, because that is an East Coast. Yeah, I think that definitely is a East Coast thing for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, Wawa is, my long lost lover. Actually, at the home opener, some guys came. I don't even know if maybe they were in there. That would be cool. Oh, Jacoby Jones, I know. Rest in peace to him.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
some guys in the parking lot at the home opener. It was early. It was still maybe like 7 a.m., maybe 8, really early. No one was really there yet. And these guys came up and they said hello to me, and one of them knew me on Twitter, and I was like, is I looked at him and he was holding a Wawa cup, like the
Okay.
clear fountain cup. And I thought, is this a fucking joke? Like, did these people,
Yeah.
is this a joke? And it just happened. They were from New Jersey, put the Wawa cups in their suitcase to
Mhm.
bring for like their tailgating drink cups. But anyway, I
Yeah,
don't know how
man.
I got into that. But okay, cool.
Shout
So,
out
all right.
Wawa.
Yeah, shout out Wawa. Please sponsor me, please. God,
Yeah, sponsor Sal.
do
Facts. She
anything.
going hard for you.
I was just looking if there was new merch yesterday, but all right, let's say hello to the chat really quick. See if there's anybody. There's lots of people showing some love to you in here. We got Two Toned.
My boy.
Oh, hi, George. I'm sure I'm missing stuff. I always still feel so awkward when I read the chat. You gotta give
Yeah.
me a tutorial on how to not be an awkward chat reader. That's something I use help with.
Yeah, that's
Could you
something,
tell
and to be
the
honest with you, that's something that I started doing from the beginning, so I think I'm just kinda used to it now, but
Oh,
yeah.
okay, yeah. I've never had to deal with that, but okay, so how did you get linked up with the Purple Gang, with SK,
Yeah.
SKOL Mafia? How did you guys become a crew?
So I started Purple Gang, and then, like, my boy, Skull Mafia, my Skull Broski, man, and then SK me and SK, we've been bros from the beginning. So I started Purple Gang. It was just something that I just started saying on my podcast when I was doing lives, and people bought into it. My boy Skull Mafia kind of backed me on that, and me and him kind of just built this connection. He's not a content creator, but I always say he feels like one, like, because he's always just hands on.
Mhm.
And me and him just started like really connecting. But SK, we started when he had some other when I first started doing podcasts, he had the I think it was Purple Code. And I
Oh.
reached out to him one time, right? And yeah, we won't get into that, but like, yeah, but that's what it was. That's what it was. And I reached out to him. I actually reached out to him and I was like, yo, hey, what's up? Like, because I'm just trying to get my face out there at the time. So I'm kind of just like, what's up? Like, let's link and do a show or whatever. And it fell through, but then eventually, after like another month of them seeing me grind, they reached out to me. It was like, yo, we want to have a meeting, get this. So long story short, we got together, and then me and SK just kind of bonded from there, because me and him both have that, like, that business mentality. We get together and we just really put things together. SK's super smart, man. Like, for sure, man. He's really business oriented. So that's one thing I respect about him, and he's just a great guy in general. So me and him just kind of locked in, and we just started pushing the Skull Fest and all that. And shout out to Dave, Minnesota Sports Talk. He was big in there too, helping us put everything together. I mean, the whole crew, man. There's so many names to name, to where I don't want to like leave anybody out, because everybody plays such an important part to what we're doing. So shout out everybody. But that's kind of how we met. It was all thanks to YouTube, honestly, for me, as far as meeting all these great people. So shout out
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was watching, a little bit of you and SK earlier today too, and you guys just have the best chemistry. It's so funny
Yeah,
to watch you guys. It's the best when you see people that, like, really love each other in real life, and they
yeah,
just have this great vibe, even if you known each other for, like, 5 minutes or whatever. You can
right.
tell, the hosts of the show are having fun, and it just makes it so fun. So, yeah, I love SK too. He's
Yeah, man.
great.
Yes.
Okay, so as far as games, you just usually come here for the opener, or do you go to away games too?
Yeah, so I go to away games. I always, anytime we play the Panthers, I go, because that's only
Yeah.
like a 2.5 hour trip for me. Well, I mean,
Oh, we
yeah, like
set 'em
2 hours.
up last year.
Yeah, so I
Last
go
year.
there, and then I also go to Jacksonville when we play there. But this year I skipped out on it because I had something else going on where I just couldn't make it. So I'm kind of upset about that, because I've been waiting years for them to play in Jacksonville
I
again, and
know.
then finally
Same.
they get there, and I'm like, I can't make it. So yes, I do always come to the opener due to the fact of the Skull Fest, but I've been to Minnesota 2 times before even Skull Fest started, before I was doing YouTube or anything. I paid my respects and went to the bank, to
Yeah.
make sure I watched my favorite team, and this was when I'm just 2015. I go there. 2016, I go there. So I'm
Uh,
just kind of in the building, cheering on my team, stayed downtown and kind of just had fun, just going around
yeah,
the city, learning the city. So, yeah.
for sure. Well, we look forward to seeing you this coming year back in the city, or maybe, hey, if we get a playoff game, somehow we can work
Oh
that out.
yeah,
You
I'm
go
there.
here.
Absolutely.
We'll have a ice cold tailgate. That'll be fun.
That's a
Um,
fact.
Adnan said the game sucked anyways, rap. And I was thinking that too. It's like you can't be that bummed about it when it was a really boring game in Jacksonville.
Yeah,
And yeah, I said that Sam was seeing the ghosts in the pool there in Jacksonville. So
he
thankfully
was.
the ghosts are gone now. The ghosts are gone. Speaking of the bank, the Vikings are back at the bank this Sunday to welcome Kirk Cousins back. I know we talked about it a second earlier, but I am really interested to see what the vibe is going to be in the stadium, because it could go a couple of different ways. We were talking about this the other night, that Kirk Cousins, I think, is the most polarizing subject that this fan base has probably ever faced that I can think of. And I know there are still so many people that like him. And then there are a lot of people who are upset with him about the money. There are people that are just indifferent to him. I know a little bit how you feel. How do you think the stadium is going to feel? Like, what is your gauge as an out of town fan as what the vibe is?
I think, I mean, honestly, is there going to be a difference between what I want to happen and what I think is going to happen? I think what's actually going to happen is I think it's going to be split 50-50 roughly. I think there's going to be, Vikings fans in the building that just know that Kirk's a great guy besides football, and they're going to appreciate what he brought to the Minnesota Vikings. However you feel about that. Now, I stand different, but I'm saying like there is going to be fans that, oh, he played well as a Viking. So like, I'm not going to boo the guy, to where I think there's going to be other fans like me. If I was in the building, I'm booing. You hear me? Like, I don't care. Listen, I'm emotional with my team, so I'm booing them only because like I feel like we did dirty in the back on the back end. But again, I think it's going to be 50-50. I think we'll be able to hear some boos though, a little bit of boos. We got to, man. Y'all got to, and you're going to be in the building, right?
Yes, I'll figure out a way to get there. Right now, I do not have tickets. I'm very surprised. I'd really never get tickets until the last minute, but I thought I had tickets to this game already, and so there's miscommunication. So I just looked for the first time yesterday. They were about double the price of what they were for this last game against the Cardinals. So I'm like, oh, okay. I guess people really are showing up for this game because I don't know. The ticket market here is can be interesting. So I was surprised to see that. But yes, I wouldn't miss it. I will for sure be there. But I saw Chris Thompson said no, the Love Boat was the most controversial. I'm not saying Kirk Cousins is the most controversial. I'm saying he's the most polarizing as far as people's opinions on him. There's not very many people who are in the middle. Maybe now that he's left, there's a few more that are in the middle. But for those 6 years, you either loved him or hated him. And not for me. I felt like I fell more in the middle, but I wasn't allowed to be in the middle because of how polarizing people made the conversation. I always felt my frustration with him was I could never just look at him as he was an above average quarterback who was exactly that, above average. I felt like you could never be in the gray area with him. People always made you be on one side or the other, and it was very frustrating for me.
Yeah. I think there was go ahead.
I was to say my dog is having a fit right now, so
it's all right. That's all right. Shout out the dog.
I need to step up and I put one of these like these mats silicone mats that you put peanut butter on and you freeze it so it keeps for a long time. I thought, okay, this will be their podcast distraction, but now they're trying to get it off the floor and it's like suctioned, so it's making a lot of noise. So if I have to get up for a second, you might just have to fill it.
Yeah, I'll feel it. Sure, I'll fill it in. No worries.
But anyway, so that was always a big frustrating part of it with me. So I personally never was a huge fan. What about you?
You was never a huge fan of Kirk? Like never a huge
No. So I still lived in Virginia for the first 2 years that he played in Washington. So I already saw way more of him. I saw a lot of him before I moved here. Then I just was of the camp that I didn't want them to see them put a max contract on somebody that I didn't feel quarterback was their reason that they didn't win that NFC Championship game in 2017. Now, would a better quarterback have been able to overcome the defensive meltdown that happened that game and the game before that? Yeah, probably. But I didn't see Kirk Cousins as the missing piece from that Super Bowl season. I didn't see him as the guy who was going to get them over that hump. And then the next year they went and missed the playoffs. So I just never thought that he was the one to do it. I would have rather them just paid somebody less money, like maybe stuck with Case Keenum or another bridge guy, or actually tried their hardest to draft somebody than do what they did. But hey, now we are where we are, so it all worked out. But what was your thoughts?
Yeah, I was never a fan of Kirk Cousins, even like you said, coming from Washington. To me, and a lot of it had to do with the contract from the beginning. That rubbed me the wrong way. Like if you're bringing in Kirk, for example, like how we brought in Sam Darnold, or let's just say he had like a Baker Mayfield type of contract, 25, then we're talking, we're having a different conversation. But when he's holding your team back like that financially, and but he also doesn't have the ability to move the needle for your team, that's what bothered me. So that's what made me not be a fan of it, because it's not just Kirk the person. It's like how he plays the game of football. And now we have to depend on this quarterback, because at the end of the day, call it for what it is. It's a team sport, but quarterbacks get paid the most money for a reason, because your team is going to live and die most likely by your quarterback play. And we died a lot by him. We won 13 games right before we got him. And then,
Yeah.
like you said, missed the playoffs. Yeah, we had the 13-win season with Kevin O'Connell, but I'm going to give Kevin O'Connell that credit, because where we're at right now shows you that, hey, look, with a quarterback that's only 10 million in Sam Darnold, we're winning double-digit games again. Like, this is, I mean, to me, just Kirk, and that goes back to how I started a podcast. That's kind of how I kind of went into the game too on YouTube. It was just like, hey, if you're a fan of Kirk, this probably isn't going to be the channel for you, because
Right.
we're gonna be talking about him in a bad way, and it's nothing personal against him as a person and as a human. We all know that he's a great guy or whatever, but you get in between those hash marks, man. We gonna judge you and criticize you as fans, as we should. You guys getting millions of dollars. You're entertaining. I mean, yes, it's a violent sport, but at the end of the day, man, we gotta call a spade a spade. It is what it is. I didn't like it, and to this day, that's why this game's exciting, because I think what bothered me too, like you said, the fans, it's either you liked them, or it's either you loved them or you hated them. And the ones that loved him, it's just unbearable. I mean, it's like, yo, like, what has this guy done for you that you just, I don't get it. Oh man. Cause even recently, Sal, I don't know if you've seen it, but when he had the Thursday night game with the Falcons,
Mhm.
and he threw for you had Vikings fans posting
Mhm.
his stats and doing all that. And I'm like, yo, like, are you a Vikings fan? That's why this game's important, because we're going to really see who's Vikings fans and who's Kirk fans. Because you probably got some that are sitting back right now hoping that he goes off so that they can say, see, we should have kept him. I told you. You know it's
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah, it's really bizarre. Yes, exactly. Every single thing that you said, and you found some words that I was struggling with when Dolly was going crazy over there. But it handicapped the team so much, and that's what I meant when, like, this wasn't the guy that was your missing piece, because now you're not able to pay all these guys that got you to this NFC Championship. Now you've got some big decisions to make, and the whole dynamic of the team is going to change going forward. And you're right with these fans. It's like it's just the craziest thing. It's almost, I think it has a little bit to do with just the state of the world now and how we're so fanatical about things in general. I think that kind of started with some political shifts and things like that. It's like it's almost your identity. Once you latch on to being a fan of something, you can't be wrong about it, or you can't, like, retract. At least that's what I'm observing in people, and I don't understand it. And you're right. Like, this is exactly what our argument was the whole time of, you don't have to be the best quarterback in the world to have success with this team, but you do have to have the resources to spread around to the rest of the team. So yeah, I know I saw that with the fans that are so fanatical about it, that they almost maybe still want him here. I don't understand it. I wish I
Yeah.
did, but I wish that I would have maybe found your channel back in 2022, but because, as I was kind of talking to you guys about before, I felt very, very isolated in my friend group as being the one person who did not like Kirk Cousins and did not want him. It was okay in like 2018 ish. One of my worst memories of being a fan of this team was 2019, the Kansas City game. Vikings went to Kansas City. They were playing Matt Moore, backup quarterback. Had no reason in the world that they should not have been able to win that game. Kirk Cousins could not step up in the fourth quarter and win the game. They got a field goal with like 10 minutes left in the fourth. They couldn't win. And I'm there with like 10 friends, and they're all in their 8 club jerseys and everything. And I'm so fucking mad. I'm like having a meltdown on the way to the car, and they're all like pissed at me. Like, they're all standing up for him, and, oh, it's not his fault. It's this, and this. And yeah, I know. I've been a fan of this game for one time. I know, a long time. I know it's not one person's fault,
Right.
But why are we paying this guy all this money then if he can't step up and win the game? Also in Green Bay with the tie game, these games where he should have been able to do that if he was that guy and he couldn't. And so from that Kansas City game in 2019, where I was the only one of 10 people, we're 10 hours away from home, and I'm the only one in this group that feels this way. It was very isolating. And I pretty much learned from then. And then in 2020, how things got even more fanatical. Well, I just got to shut the fuck up about this
Yeah.
because um, people are so emotional about it. So
Yeah. You would have
that,
been at home if you would have found Vocal Vike, which we were Purple Pocket at the time, but you would have definitely been a PG4L member right now if you would have found us a couple years ago. That's a fact.
I know that's what I get for sleeping on the YouTube. But
I'm telling
thank
you.
you
I'm telling you.
so much to Evil for the super chat. You
Shout out
the
my
best.
boy, man. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so anyway, I don't know. I just went down. I got real emotional there about my Kansas
Hey,
City
let's
moment.
go.
But
Let's
it
go.
fucking sucked. It fucking sucked. I'm there in this, yeah, only one, just isolated. And then so I don't know if anybody saw on Twitter, I was kind of getting roasted the other day. So then we had that. It was shitty. 2020. Then obviously we were all watching games at home. Kirk Cousins has got his fucking cereal box
Mhm.
cover, and all of my entire group of friends were eating the cereal. We got the boxes, and it's just it was so lonely being me in
Yeah.
this friend group. So then I've got the tailgate spot. I'm running the whole thing, but I don't really have any um I don't know, allies really like in my
Right.
own group. So
Yeah.
I'm just kind of trying to bite my tongue and be cool. So that's how my whole in when they extended him in 2022, they what did they rework it so they had an extra year. I wanted to jump off of the roof of my fucking house, to be
Oh,
honest.
yeah. Yeah, me
Like, I
too.
can't
I'm
do
with you.
this. I can't do this another however long. But anyway, so then that's the
Yeah.
year when we had Kirk Chains. They came out, they won the home opener against the Packers. I'm always going to give flowers to anyone that can do that. So I did.
Facts.
And then it kind of just rolled into being a bit of me loving Kirk Cousins, and then I had friends again. And people gave me the Kirk Cousins prayer candle for my birthday
Yeah.
and all of that stuff. So it was a fun year of me pretending to like him, but
Yeah.
that's about
Well,
as
I
deep
gotta
as
say, Sal, you're not in the you shouldn't feel bad for what you did because I'm on record too. As much as everybody knows that I'm not a fan of Kirk Cousins, 2022. I mean, I got videos on my channel saying, "Hey, our boy MVP." You know what I mean? Like for sure. Our boy the MVP, man. Kirk Chains, man. That was a fun ass time to be a
yes.
Vikings fan, man. I don't care how you felt about him. I mean, you gotta admit that shit was fun to be a Vikings fan during that time, watching the team. What I
Yeah.
took from the Kirk Chains era was, and this is what made me just really understand and what I knew from the beginning is you had to have Zadarius Smith, the Chris Boyds, push Kirk to be this type of guy though. Like this isn't him. They had Justin Jeffersons and shit had to make him this guy to make it fun because he's really not a leader of men. Is he a good
No.
maybe role model, like somebody you can like if you're being a dad and all that? Absolutely. Great guy. But when you're talking football and you got a bunch of, guys out there, testosterone, are you, he's just not that guy. You know what I mean? And Sam Darnold, quite honestly, doesn't have that mentality either. But again, there's something like at the beginning of the season, I wasn't big on Sam Darnold. I didn't like the move. I'm
Mhm.
like, Sam Darnold, bruh. But I'm not afraid, like you mentioned earlier, to be wrong. You know what I mean? Like, because at the end of the day, I'm a Vikings fan. I want the Vikings to win. I don't care who the hell the quarterback is, to be honest with you, as long as we win.
I love being wrong about this team. I love it. I
Yeah.
never am happier. Wrong with my record prediction by already at least 4 games. Love it. Love that year when I was doing my Kirk Cousins apology tour. Loved it. I love to be wrong about this team because I always want to set my expectations lower, and then that's more fun for me than the opposite way.
Mhm.
But yeah. But speaking of Sam Darnold and him not having those qualities, I agree with you that I didn't think that he did. But I feel like observing him now, especially this past month or so, and seeing the way that the guys in the locker room interact with him and the things that they say unprompted about him and his leadership, I think says a little bit differently. I don't think he's like that guy that we're gonna look at that I don't know is like beating his chest like a big I don't know. I
Like
can't think of
alpha
the word.
male.
Yeah, the guy that we look at is like, wow, that's like the stereotypical leader. But the
Yeah,
things that they say about Sam are things that they would say about Kirk, but only when they were asked to say it.
right,
Because
right.
it would the media always wanted to know that, and so they would ask. Whereas with Sam, nobody's asking, and they're just saying it.
Yeah, because he does. I agree with you. He does give off a little more than what Kirk gave off. Like you said, Kirk Cousins, you would have to ask, like, hey guys, is he a leader? Do y'all like him? Do y'all look up to? Oh yeah, Kirk's a leader in the locker room for sure. You know what I mean? The politically correct thing to say at the this is the thing when players are talking about other players on the podium, they're talking about their coaches. You have to go into those press conferences and watching them knowing that they're going to say the correct thing. They
Mhm.
really are. They're gonna say it. You know, you have to be able to know how to read in between the lines, kind of like how you just did. You know, like, hey, I'm noticing they're only saying it when they're asked. But when they speak on Sam Darnold, a lot of them come out and just say things unprompted, which split that makes the difference right there, right? That shows me that okay, he really does have certain qualities to be a leader of men. And that's what you need I mean, at the end of the day, that has to be a trait if you're a quarterback in the NFL. It just
Mhm.
is what it is. Like you have to have that characteristic about you just have to. It's almost like unnecessary. You need it, right? So, I mean, that's what we're looking for. I think 9 has it. JJ McCarthy, that boy. I don't know how you feel about him, but
Yeah.
that's my boy.
Yeah, he always has, I think, given off that vibe, and I'm excited to see, what he has. It's crazy that we're
Yeah,
in this situation where we are in this year where we knew we weren't gonna see him, and now it's like, wow, look at
right,
what we have here in this
right.
diamond in the rough of Sam Darnold. But, yeah, so going forward with we're talking about Kirk, and I don't know, I didn't mean to bash on him for this long because we only have about
Let's
10
get
minutes
it.
left, and we
Let's
haven't
get
even
it.
talked about the game coming up here. But I think that it could be the differences in those two, and I don't just mean physically, like with accuracy and quarterback acumen. I think that um, it's going to be the type of game where we know with Kirk Cousins, he is not one who can overcome going off script very well. And I think he's going to have a lot of anxiety going into this game, as anybody would. Returning back somewhere where you played for 6 years, where you were the home quarterback, you've got a lot of memories, you have a lot of relationships with people. And I think that he's going to have a lot of nerves, especially coming off of this last performance that he just had with 4 interceptions. How do you think he's going to feel when he walks in on Sunday morning?
I think he's gonna be nervous, to be honest with you, because that's just what Kirk is. I mean, we know this as being Vikings fans. We know he can get flustered really quickly. So I think he's gonna be nervous. But again, there's always that thing because Vikings fans, we know this too. He could have a bad game like that and then come back the next
Mhm.
game and just kind of go off. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm hoping doesn't happen as a Vikings fan. Now, I don't think it's gonna happen because I think this defense is a lot different. So for the fans that are believing like, oh well, he knows our defense, I don't think it's going to be like that. So
Uh,
I mean, I think he's going to be nervous. I think we're going to see the teeth grit. I think we're going to see the pacing back and forth on the sideline, looking flustered, and I'm here for it. Say that.
Hi, Sarah. Sarah said Sammy hunts for big plays, Kirk hunts for checkdowns. And I
That's a
can't
fact.
can't disagree with that assessment. I also think that he's going to be nervous. But as to your point, I think that's another reason why Kirk Cousins is such a polarizing figure, because he
Mhm,
can have these games that are night and day difference from week to week. You can see his performance of the last 3 games where he hasn't thrown a single touchdown, but he's thrown six
mhm.
picks, and he could be a completely different guy, the next week. And so that's, I think, with him, and why he is so frustrating to be your team's quarterback too, because you can have a great month, you can have a Kirktober, and then
Mhm.
you're going to completely go the other way. And it was hard to find consistency with that. But I also agree that he's going to be nervous. He obviously was never the most mobile quarterback to begin with, but then when you put recovering from the Achilles and his age, he's got a lot to be worried about with Brian Flores' defense. And I don't envy his position at all.
Yeah, no, it's gonna get bad for him. I really see it's gonna get bad for him. I seen somebody earlier say he'll get benched by halftime. That
Yes.
would be crazy, to see
Yeah.
that happen. I mean, I would be here for it for sure. I would celebrate it. I mean, at the end of the day, the guy's gonna be rich regardless. I mean, I would love to have some entertainment. You know what I mean? Like, I would love to have a little bit of entertainment. Go ahead, bench him. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's played good football throughout his career for the most part if you're looking at numbers. So, hey, he'll be all right if he gets benched. I hope that happens. That would be just crazy. Him coming back to Minnesota, we just dominating him. He stripped sacks from Grenard, couple interceptions. Cam Beasley doing the swag and surfing when he gets a pick. I mean, I'm looking forward to all of it. Like, I have this story written in my head that I just kind of want to see the game go this way. And if it does, man, it would be a great day to be a Vikings fan. Trust me, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I think it's very, 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 very unlikely that there's any you like that games left in him. If there
Yeah.
ever were, this would be the time to pull one out. I would maybe be worried about something like that in years past, just with the PTSD that we have as Vikings fans, how we've, went through experiences where we've lost games that we never thought we had a chance to lose. And so I could see historically something like that happening, but not to this team. I think that the games, the way that this team has figured out how to win, they're not going to let that happen. So I'm
Mm-mm.
not really worried about that. I think I saw you guys predict earlier, UNSK, that he was going to have at least one strip sack fumble.
Yeah.
Maybe you said two.
Yeah, I said I said at least 4 turnovers total. So,
Yeah.
two fumbles, 2 picks. I'll take it. However you want to cut it. Just give me 4. Just give me 4.
Yeah. It would be nice to find some balance there between the Vikings and their fumbling issues, and Kirk
Absolutely.
Cousins is the one who could maybe balance that out for us.
Yeah, no, that's a fact though, for sure. We definitely have that issue with us. We need to fix that, and hopefully we do fix that. Because to me that shows lack of discipline, and I don't want to think that my team lacks that. I think we are a disciplined football team, but man, fumbling like that is unacceptable. You have to be held accountable. That ball is you have to cherish that ball. When you have it on offense, them fumbles, man, a good thing is our team's able to bounce back and fight through it, right? And be able to still win these football games. But it's not going to happen in the playoffs if you do that against a team that's really good. Those are going to
Mhm.
cost you. Those are going to cost you. Yep.
Yeah, that's what's been so different about this team and impressive about this team, that they have made mistakes in games that have somehow not went back to bite them, knock on wood. But you're right, these are things that in the playoffs they're not going to be able to get away with. So we would like to see them from here on out correct those. I would say with Sam, though, another contrast with Kirk and him, a difference that I see, and I talk about this all the time, that surprises me about him the most is that when he makes a mistake, he's able to just brush it off and move
Mhm,
on. And it seems like he really does take the game like one play at a time, one drive at a time, as the coaches are always telling you to do.
mhm,
Whereas that was always a huge criticism of Kirk, was that it's scripted. It's by the book. We're not calling an audible. We're not throwing a pick. We're not going to be able to recover from that. And it seems like he was always like 10 steps ahead.
mhm. No,
So
it's crazy. You think exactly like me about Kirk Cousins. It's kind of scary, low key. I ain't gonna lie. I used to call him robotic Kirk, man. Like, listen, whatever the play is, that's what he's run. If it doesn't matter, he has no
mhm.
improvisation about him. It's whatever the play call is, that's the play call. I'm going for it. I've been studying it all week. I don't care if the defense is lined up perfect to stop this play. We're still gonna run it, and see what happens. And I mean, it used to just get on my nerves. Like, first of all, you're getting paid way too much money to do that, right? Like, just think about the great quarterbacks that look at the defense and they say, "Hey, look, I know you called this play in, coach, but I'm gonna go ahead and audible this because I know it's gonna favor my team. You know what I mean? I know this is gonna be better. I see this blitzer coming. Let me switch protection." Like, this guy just would go up and just whatever happens just happens, and it used to get on my nerves a little bit, and I mean, the list is super long about Kirk as far as what got on my nerves. We'll be here all night. You know what I mean? I got a couple more days to do some shows, so I'll get it all out by Sunday. You know what I mean? For sure.
Oh my god, wait, I was about to say, what this just came to my mind. What was the season, maybe it was the last Zimmer season, where there was something got blown at the end of a game, and it came out in the press conference where Kirk wasn't even allowed to call a timeout or something?
Yeah. Yeah, no,
There
I
was
remember that. Yeah, that might have been Kirk's last. That might have been Zimmer's last season for sure. Yeah, that's when things just started like really just. I mean, it was unfolding
It
fast
was
for.
something like he wasn't allowed to call a play or like he wasn't allowed. They both throw each other under the bus,
Was it a
whichever one.
spike? He wasn't allowed to spike the ball or something. I don't know, like stop the clock, clock it. I don't know. It was something like that though, or a timeout. It was. I remember.
It was something, and it's like, dude, this is your team and you're a veteran and just do what you got to do. Why are you waiting? Or he couldn't hear in the headset. I think maybe that's what it was.
Yep.
Something
Yep.
wild. Something
That
wild
was
where,
the excuse they used. That was the
yeah,
excuse that Kirk used. I couldn't hear in the headset, so it's like, bro, come on, dog. Like you've been how long you been an NFL quarterback, bro? Like, come on, man. Like, and that's what I used to. I mean, see, I got so much that I didn't like about him. That's what I didn't like about him was his press conferences. He would
yeah.
be talking to fans as if we don't understand football. And first of all, why are you sitting here telling fans, like casual fans, fans that watch the Vikings, why are you talking about cover two shell coverage and cloud coverage and all this? Like, we not trying to hear that. Now, there's fans that understand that. Yeah, we know that, bro. Like, there's a way to beat that. Why didn't you do the thing that can beat that type of coverage? You know, you keep talking all this football-y stuff in your press conferences, and it used to irritate me because it's like, man, I shouldn't have to explain to anybody I'm sitting with that doesn't understand those things. I shouldn't have to explain to them what you're talking about. How about you just be straightforward and say you didn't call an audible. You should have did something different. Take accountability. How about that? You know what I mean? So it got on my nerves.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was the lack of accountability. And even when he did come up there and take accountability, it just always seemed phony. It just never seemed genuine. I don't
Yeah,
know. I'm glad the experiment is over. I
facts.
am grateful to the Atlanta Falcons for taking that decision out of Kwesi and KOC's hands by giving them an offer that they were never going to be able to match. And the problem took care of itself. I'm very grateful to them for that. I don't
Mhm.
understand the logic, especially based on what they did in the draft, but hey, that's none of our business.
Right.
I don't care. Y'all figure that out.
Figure it
Um,
out.
all right, Rappel. I feel like I could talk to you all night because an
Yeah,
hour
for
has
sure.
already gone by. But we got to get out of here. You got another show to do, and we got
Right.
an epic NFC North matchup to watch really quick here. But tell everybody where they can find you, when your show's on, and all of
Yep.
that good stuff.
Yeah, so you can find me at Vocal Vike on YouTube and also on X. And yeah, I got shows. I do vid content every day. So I literally try to post a video at least every day. Sometimes I might skip a day, but every day I'm steady doing content. But my live shows I really focus on. I do pep rallies on Sundays, which is at 11 o'clock Central Time, an hour before the game. I go live. We kind of just hype it up and talk our talk, do a post game after the game at 6:30, regardless of what time the game. If it's a 1 o'clock game or 12 o'clock game in y'all's time, 6:30 do the post game, and then Friday nights. Everybody knows Friday nights. So real quick before we go, Sal, I started this thing called Curb Sessions. Now, what is a curb session? Well, that is when Kirk was our quarterback, and we would call it curb sessions because we would just come in the chat. Purple Gang community would tell you, and we just start throwing out. Now, we just talking smack, kind of like what me and you were kind of doing there for the last 15, 20 minutes, which I enjoy. And we just go for an hour plus, and we're banging them, right? So tonight, this Friday, we get to go down memory lane. So I'm
Oh,
excited. This Friday is going to be really fun in the chat, man. Everybody's looking forward to it because we haven't done one in so long. I'm not going to sit there and beat a dead horse now that he's not on our team. So it's not like I'm going to do lives about it, but this week it fits. So yeah, we got
oh.
a curb session Friday. So tap in if you want. People in the chat, man, follow Vocal Vike on YouTube, and I'll see you in the building. For
Yeah,
sure.
I will definitely be there for that curb session. And Sarah, thank you for the info. She cleared it up for us. She said that was the Chargers game where Kirk didn't
Oh,
spike the
okay.
ball, and then he
Yeah.
threw an interception to end the game. So that is a perfect starting point for those curb sessions on Friday. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah. Fact. Fact.
But okay, well, thank you so much, Raph. You guys, thanks for hanging out with us.
Hey,
We will see you here on Vikings First and SKOL at the 2-minute warning after the game on Sunday to celebrate the Vikings being 11-2. I will not be here because I will be at the tailgate. So if you are going to be at the Vikings game, make sure you check out my Twitter, see where you can come find us and hang out. Right now, the weather is supposed to be about 45 degrees. So huge improvement from last week
Nice.
when we had a high of, I want to say, I don't remember what the high was, but it was like 8 degrees in the morning when we put the tent up. It was it was a little nipply out there. So if you are going to the game Sunday, please come see us in the Gold Lot and check my boys out here on First and SKOL for the after show, and Two Old Bloggers with Dave and Darren on Saturday.
Let's
All
go.
right, love you guys. SKOL and
Peace
go
out.
Lions.
Like, subscribe, and ring the bell. And rate us on your favorite aggregator. And a big shout out goes to Sal and her guests on this Vikings First and SKOL production, partnered with the Fans First Sports Network. Thanks, everyone, and SKOL.